Currently, I'm in central Saskatchewan shooting a new 3-minute short as well as testing out the new Kessler CineDrive system. What I want to do with the behind the scenes short is show you a few different ways you can use this system as well as how easy it is to operate. With the 3-minute short, what I wanted to do is document a few different winter activities, kind of showing you what you can do in this frigid climate. Right now it's about -25°C plus the wind chill, so it is fairly cold out. Now with this specific shot, what I want to do is have the camera track down the slider and zoom out at the same time, which is going to create a vertigo effect. So basically what it's going to do is as the camera's tracking down, that back wall is going to pull away from us. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting the shot up, leave you with that final shot, and then show you a few different ways that you can use this system. With this short film, what I also want to do is set 2 parameters for myself. The first is that I want to try capture shots that I wouldn't have been able to accomplish with the analog system. So I'm going to try push myself to think of new ways to use this system to help tell my story. The second parameter is that I want to be both subject matter and the camera operator as well. So I'm not going to have another person coming in to help capture the shots with motion. I'm going to restrict myself to using this system to add motion to each of the shots. And what I want to do with this shot is have the camera rack focus from this tree to the horizon as it slides down the track, and then for the third keyframe, what I want to do is have the camera come back, zoom out, and then kind of tilt up towards the sun. For this shot, what I want to do is track towards the fire, keeping the fire in focus the entire time from start point to end. And for this shot, I'm going to use 4 axes to capture that shot. I'm going to use a slide, pan tilt, and focus motor. For this actual shot, I'm going to be shooting at nighttime, but I want to show you during the day how to connect this system. Connecting this system is fairly straightforward. What you want to do is make sure that everything is daisy chained. One thing you want to keep in mind when you're connecting is that every motor comes with a motor control module. The pan and tilt head have those motor control modules built in, but if you're using a slider motor, focus motor, zoom motor, something like that, you'll need to have one of these motor control modules. The first thing you want to do is take your motor control module for each different axis, and I have them labeled because then when I go into this system here, they come up and they're already set with my custom parameters built into these modules. So the first thing you want to do is take this cable from your motor and connect it to your motor control module. You'll notice there's 3 different connectors here. The one that's kind of by itself is for the connector to the motor, and the other 2 are for daisy chaining the whole system together. So I've got now the slider motor connected to its motor control module. Then I'm going to take this motor control module and connect it to the focus motor. One thing that's great about these motor control modules as well is they have magnets built in. So when you are using this pan and tilt head, you can actually take the motor control module and clip it to the side of the head. Now, the next thing you want to do is daisy chain all the different axes together. You'll notice on the brain, there's 3 different ports. So what I'm going to do is separate the pan, tilt, and focus from the slider motor. So the slider motor, I'm going to connect directly to the brain. But these other 3 axes, I'm going to daisy chain together and then connect one connection into here. So the first thing I want to do is run one line from the brain to the pan tilt head. I'm going to take this cable, connect it to the brain, take the other end, connect it to the head. And another thing that's great about these as well is you'll notice there's little arrows showing you where these lines connect together. So you don't have to ever fumble wondering like where they connect together. It's very clear where they snap in. Then what you want to do next is take a short cable, go from your pan axis to your tilt axis, again lining up the arrows. And then I'm going to take another short cable, run from the tilt into the focus motor control module. And then at the end of that chain, what you need to do is take a terminator and go into that open port, which ends that daisy chain. And now I've connected these three axes together. The last thing I need to do is connect the slider motor control module to the brain. I'll use this cable here. And again, all the open ports you want to put terminators in. And so with this one here, I have one open port here and an open port in the brain. So I'll take two more terminators and plug them in. And the last thing I want to do is run power and Cat5 cable to the brain. So I'm going to take the Cat5 cable, connect to the brain, and then take power cable and run power to the brain. So the next thing you want to do after you've connected the system is program your move. And before you can do that, you need to calibrate each axis. Basically record the full range of movement of each axis. So for this move, we're going to start with the slider motor. So we're going to open up the KOS software and take the slider and move it to one end and click Mark Begin, which marks the first end of that range of movement. Then go to the other end. And mark that position. And we've now calibrated the slider motor. So we'll bring it back to the halfway point here. Then we'll take the pan axis and move it to about there. Mark that as our begin. Go to the other side. Mark that as the end of that movement. And we'll move on to our tilt. Mark that one end. Go up to the other one. Mark that. And the last is the focus. So right there is our infinity mark. Click Mark Begin, and then we'll go to our other end of our focal range, which is there. We'll mark that. And we've now calibrated each axis. For this specific shot, what I want to do is just track down, keeping the fire in focus the entire time. So I only need to have 2 keyframes. However, with this system, you can have as many keyframes as you want. So let's start by recording this first move. And what we'll need to do is tilt down to about there. And then we'll take our focus and bring the shot into focus. Which is there. Tilt up a little bit. I'll be sitting in that chair in the background, so I'm okay with having it up a little bit on this here. And we'll record that keyframe. And then we're going to take the slider, move it to the end point of that move, and then take the slider and bring it down to the end, which will be about there. That's fine. Then I'm going to take the camera, tilt it down so the fire's completely filling the frame. Pan back a little bit so it's about there. And then the last thing I need to set is my focus. Which we'll say is there. Just double check on that. Yeah, that's perfect. So I'll go ahead and record that second keyframe. Now for this actual shot, I'm going to be shooting a time lapse. So what I want to do to make sure the movement is as I want it to be is play this back in real time, and then I'll know if I need to adjust and move from there. It's always a great idea when you are shooting a longer time lapse to play your move back in real time, and then once you know that it's the move you want, you can go ahead and switch to the time-lapse function and set to the however long you want that time-lapse to take. So I'll go ahead now and set that live action move to 18 seconds and click play. So what it's going to do is come back to that first keyframe and then play out for me. So I'm just going to watch the shot as it comes down, make sure everything's as I want it to be. I'm happy with that shot, so what I'm going to do now is set the shot up to a 20-minute time lapse, and then once it gets dark, I'll play this shot back and we'll be good to go. So this is the first short in which I'll be using the CineDrive system, and what I'm wanting to do is find out how I can use this system in my workflow. Now, one great feature I love about this system is the delay function. So in the situations where I need to be both camera operator and subject, what I can do is pre-program the move, set a delay, get into position, and then have that move play out. Now for this specific shot, what I want to do is a slider move and a rack focus. So what I'm going to do is pre-program that move, set the delay, and then use the timer function on my iPhone to sync it up with this system. So what I would do is set the delay function to a minute on this, set the timer on this to a minute, and then when I hit play on this, I'll hit go on this timer. So once this timer goes off, I know I need to be coming around the corner for the shot.
For this shot, what I wanted to do is a composite. I'm going to shoot this same shot twice, once during the day and once during the night. And then in post-production, I'm going to take those two shots and blend them together. Now for the actual shot, what I'm wanting to do during the daytime section is capture me setting up this little campfire scene here. I'm going to be putting out some chairs, cleaning off the snow on the fire pit, and that sort of thing. And then for the evening scene, I'm going to film the fire as well as some lights in the cabin, and then hopefully, depending on if we have an overcast night or if it stays clear, hopefully get some stars in the sky as well.
For the last shot in this piece, what I want to do is a night to day time lapse, and in order to do this, what I'm going to do is shoot a time lapse during the day and then a time lapse during the night, and then in post-production I'm going to blend those two together. Now what I want to do in this section of this video is kind of show you how I did the compositing in After Effects. The first thing that I did was bring in both the daytime and nighttime time lapse and line the two sequences up. So I shot the exact same shot twice, obviously once during the night and then once during sunset. This sunset is going to act as if it is a sunrise shot, but they have virtually the same look, so it doesn't really matter which one I was to shoot. So in order to go between these two shots, obviously, like I said, you need to first line up the two shots. So if I toggle between both the daytime and nighttime, you'll see all the way through this whole sequence that they line up. So for what I wanted to do for this shot was have the, kind of as the camera turns towards the sky, I want to do that blend into nighttime. So all I had to do was create 2 keyframes on my opacity on the daytime. So I'll go to the first keyframe here and turn the opacity down to 0. And then if I scrub to my endpoint, you'll see that slowly we go into the daytime. So it looks like a sunrise shot. If I wanted to have that sunrise a little bit longer, all I would have to do is take that first keyframe, drag it a little bit earlier, and you'll see that the daytime time lapse comes in a little bit earlier. You'll see the sun kind of on the horizon there, and then it goes into that shot. However, for this shot, I do want to have it come in a little bit later. Now, one thing I also did with the shot, when I was out shooting, I didn't have a lantern with me, so I wasn't able to light the tree up. In hindsight, obviously, I probably would have brought a lantern with me, but in order to bring back some of that information in the tree, what I did was created another layer and rotoscoped the tree. So I took the daytime layer and rotoscoped the tree out to bring back a little bit of information in that tree. So if you scrub through, you'll see a few different keyframes showing kind of how that mask moves. And then if I wanted to kind of adjust that matte, all I would have to do is go to one of the keyframes, and you can create as many keyframes as you want. Click on that keyframe, and you can drag it kind of wherever you want for this shot. Now, all I really needed was a little bit more information in the tree. I mean, I could have pushed a little bit further with this if I wanted to. Like, that's what the daytime time-lapse looked like, but I put on a little color filter to bring it down a little bit to match the nighttime scene. And then if you scrub through, you'll see it starts fading out about here into the daytime shot. And that's pretty much all it took to composite that shot.